JJ, the CPA here. Look at what I've pulled out. The whiteboard. Oh my gosh, I told Amanda. Oh my gosh, look at what I got. So for the Paycheck Protection Program, Triple P, I wanted to give you a couple of videos on kind of maybe the most important things to keep in mind as you're going through your 8 weeks of forgiveness period. I know for many of us, right, got the application that came out, and we now know what the SBA is specifically requesting. We've got a little bit more definition, so I've got a series of videos on this. But when you're then looking at the forgiveness application and you're like, JJ, boil it down for us. The most important thing that I want you to pay attention to is on page 3, line 10. Okay, this is like the maximum loan forgiveness. Okay, and remember, it's based on what you spend, but the maximum loan forgiveness, okay, is payroll spent divided by 75% equals max loan forgiveness. So in this right here, somebody gets a loan for $100,000. They spend $70,000 on payroll and $30,000 on rent, utilities, and interest. So they used it all properly. No one's done anything wrong here. They spent $100,000, but at the end of the day, the payroll's $70,000. Now remember, with the payroll, it's insurance and the retirement benefits and the state unemployment tax and the gross pay. The payroll does include those that are owners. It includes the non-owners, of course, but just W-2. If you have anybody that made over $100K, in essence, it's going to be maxed on a annualization of the $100K. But nonetheless, on that payroll, you're going to take that divided by 75%. And this right here, I think, is the most important number to really keep in mind, because that is this page 3, line 10. On this would be $93,333. So no matter if you hired more people or rehired, or the forgiveness at the end, or whatever it is, right? This is your max loan forgiveness, period. So on this, the thing to note is that whatever the max loan forgiveness is of that amount, no more than 25% can be forgiven for other expenses. Okay, so in this circumstance right here, there was $70,000 on payroll. So that's all going to be forgiven, period. Boom. All going to be forgiven. But this number cannot exceed 75% of that figure there, right? Because we just did the inverse. It's an obvious. But the reason I'm telling you that is that then the 25% amount, okay, cannot exceed 25% of that. So then only $23,333 will be allowed as a forgiveness amount of the $30,000 that was spent. So not bad, right? Someone got $100,000. They were able to spend $70,000 on payroll costs, right? Well, that's what they spent, so that's the maximum amount. So even though they had all of these other expenses on rent, utilities, and interest, only $23,333 of that will be allowed, and they'll have to pay back $6,667. And if you ask me, that's pretty good, right? I mean, you got $100,000, and basically 6.667% is getting paid back. That's pretty good. But the key here is, and you need to watch my next video, but the key here is, it's just whatever you spend in payroll divided by 75. That's your max loan forgiveness. Max loan forgiveness. Now, of course, you could have this be $1 million. Of course, the loan forgiveness is not going to be able to exceed the loan amount, right? But my point is that for those that have said, well, you know, maybe I just won't have the payroll, or maybe you got the amount in essence incorrectly, meaning you got the loan and it was based on something that's, you know, you paid 1099s, or it's your box one of your, you know, K1 as an S corp. Bottom line is that we're talking here W2. So when you're going through the 8 weeks, right? It's like, well, then this number needs to be what it actually is, right? This isn't time for bonuses and raises, and I'm going to tell you why in the next video, because there's no way to, I mean, this is like one of those puzzles that you try and go this way and they got you coming the other way. But anyways, it's just what you have paid out, because we also are going to have to look at head count. We're looking at salary reduction. Okay, so at the end of the day, here's one example of how this would work. But I think page 3, line 10, which is the max, one of the max loan forgiveness amounts, but this is really where the rubber meets the road for me, and when you're looking at what you're doing during the 8 weeks. It's the amount that you spend on payroll. All right, hey, thanks for tuning in. I'd love it if you'd subscribe, and then don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA quite like me. You may have, I doubt it. But you know what? CPAs are pretty bad to the bone. We're all pretty much a CPA that you've probably not ever met quite like that person, which is all to say, hey, we're in this together. All right, hey, have a great night.